Good morning from Leary Gray, California out here. Anyway, how are you? How is everyone? How are you feeling cooped up in COVID-19 times? Well, I got so cooped up, I had to go out yesterday. I had to go and see what was going on out there. So here we are for the second live show. I got out there and it's kind of weird. Things are alive and kicking that you would not expect to be alive and kicking. Things like I saw 2 ducks in a swimming pool washing themselves while all the people in their windows were looking at them. It's kind of weird, but it's nothing compared to some of the stuff that you're seeing on YouTube right now, from sheep to goats to koala bears to penguins all wandering around streets and things like that. So there we go. Anyway, enough of that. Welcome again to our second live show. It is XDI Experience Live Test number 2, and we're going at it with the twins today. So, to me, digital twin is huge. It's that combination that defines the fourth industrial revolution. It's bringing kind of people together with technology and experience. And one of our little experts on the subject is our very own David Mann. He and I are equally as passionate, but he far more knowledgeable than I, thankfully. And so we're going to bring David onto the show today and tell us all about what he knows at a kind of a start point, and I'm sure we'll develop it over time. So at the end of this, please ask questions. No, don't tell me it was disabled, because we've double checked it. We've triple checked it. It definitely works. So please ask questions. Good, bad, indifferent, stupid, sensible. We don't mind. As long as we got some questions coming in, we're quite happy about it. There we go. So without further ado, let's go. David, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing real good. How is life treating you down there? In Carlsbad, San Diego? How's you? How's the family? How are you handling COVID? What's going on?
It's good. Not able to get out that much. Was able to get out last night. There's a blue tide here in San Diego right now. So if you get out at night, the waves come in. It's pitch black outside, and you see these blue lines on the waves. That's fantastic. But other than that, cooped up like
you haven't seen kind of Shamu the whale going down the streets or anything like that?
Yeah, no, nothing like that. Just surfers.
Okay, going down the street. That's going to be a rough ride. Got it.
Yeah.
So we're here, and I've introduced you. Well, I've told them we're going to be doing the twin. So why don't we get the show on the road? Tell us about the twin.
Yeah.
The digital twins. What's it all about?
So a digital twin, it's really when you take a combination of a product or a process that you have defined maybe in 3D or in any tool really, and you combine that with a behavioral model. So basically having data that says this is how this product is actually going to work. And that gives you a twin of the real life product or process. So that's really, when you boil it down, that's what the digital twin is all about. Got it.
And what would be the kind of main objectives of a digital twin for a company?
So when you think about companies, they're trying to make more and more complex products. And products are hard to simulate for all the use cases. We can go out and do a bend analysis in a simulation program, or we can do an electromagnetic simulation of the radio signals around a chip. But we're testing individual use cases in that case. So it's not it's kind of like a unit testing in the current model. Whereas, when you deploy software or you want to deploy a new process, you always put it through user scenarios. Well, the digital twin is the user scenario testing for your product or process. So it allows you to do that end-to-end real kind of quote real life testing before you've actually deployed it out into real life.
Wonderful. Good. And what would be kind of the best use cases that you've come across for these digital twins?
So there are generally 2 different types of digital twins that I've found. And you can divide them both into either manufacturing or engineering side. But the first case for a digital twin is when you're going to take the data, and you're going to have a model, and you're going to apply a predictive behavior to it. So let's say you model out the behavior with a set of modeling tools, and then you apply that to it. That's the first type of digital twin. And usually companies or customers will do that when they are, before they've released their product, or have an engineering view of what they anticipate the usage of the product will be. And the second type of digital twin is more after you've got your product or process out there. So let's say you've designed your manufacturing line, and now you've got your manufacturing line running. The second type of digital twin would actually take the data coming off the IoT data off that line and apply it to your 3D reference, or to your product reference, or your manufacturing line reference, so that you can actually see how it's operating and then make informed decisions about how you're going to change, for example, the manufacturing line to be more optimized. So it's kind of the two different types of digital twins, one of which is going to be kind of a model-based, upfront, defined by people. And the second one is going to be the behavioral model is going to be defined more by the actual data coming in. And you can combine the two so that you refine your behavioral model with the real data.
Got it. So you mentioned data on a few occasions there, and we hear a lot about kind of data thread, digital thread. How does that compare to a digital twin? What's the difference between the two?
So the digital thread is really about how, when you get your base PLM system set up, you have an idea. Then you start defining that idea, gathering requirements. You do some functional modeling, some logical modeling, some physical design, 3D design. And then you take that, and it's still a thread through, you're able to connect your idea to this design, even out into manufacturing. So you're able to start building out your manufacturing line, and then actually executing your manufacturing. So that's your digital thread, and that's really a PLM concept. The difference between that and a digital twin is a digital twin takes that data and then provides a model on top of it, how that whole thing's going to behave in real life, or a simulated real life, so that you can start doing this kind of real end-to-end scenario testing. So I can scenario test my product, or I can scenario test my manufacturing, but you have to have that digital thread in order to do that testing and have it be one coherent whole. You got it.
Sure. Okay. So with all this data being extracted off the line, popped up into a platform, then analyzed, utilized, what are the, and simulation, what are the critical technologies that need to be in place in order to create and work through a digital twin?
So really, to work with the digital twin, the first thing you have to have is the digital base of your PLM. So you need to be able to have that digital thread in there, being able to manage the revisions, the configurations of the product, because it doesn't help to have a behavioral model of one configuration and the one that you're deploying out to production, or the users in the United States or in Europe are using is a different configuration, because you can't map it directly. So you have to have full control over your product first. Then in order to animate that, let's say you need either a behavioral model. So you're going to create a model, for example, with a Modelica model, if you're going to kind of do the upfront simulation, or maybe a data lake from Microsoft Azure or AWS, if you want to kind of use either live feedback or compiled data, usage data from customers. So that's kind of the real components. So you got to have that, design, maybe with CATIA or SolidWorks, have your 3D design and manage through the life cycle with 3D Experience. But you really need to have the other side, which is IoT data.
Got it. And would you put in there kind of the other tools that we do with, like Simulia, Delmia? Would you pop those in there?
Yeah, those go in there. So Delmia is where you create the model, for example, of your manufacturing line. And you can simulate the manufacturing line. You can say, okay, what are the times for each workstation, and then you compare that to the data you're getting back off of the real world. And then you can say, okay, now I want to run my manufacturing line with the times I'm getting off the world, so I can simulate the problems I'm having. Once you can simulate the problems in your digital twin, then you can try lots of different options very, very quickly to get back to, okay, here's the new changes I want to roll out to my line in the next update.
Good. So let's bring it forward to the reality of today, COVID-19 going on. I'm a manufacturing organization. With that in mind and looking forward, how do you see the digital twin impacting the world we live in over the next year, and thereafter long-term over the next kind of 5-10 years?
So over the next year, what I think we're going to see is those customers who have a digital twin are going to be able to continue to advance their product design process much faster than those who are suffering from, having their, either relying on being in groups and individual testing, or relying on going down onto their manufacturing line and trying different things out. They'll be able to try out things virtually. They'll be able to see the effects and get that loop going much, much faster. Mm-hmm. And the COVID-19 is really highlighting those companies who have already invested in that and are able to start making those investments pay off, because their competition who don't have that are kind of stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
They're now struggling with how do they get their people in there? How do they understand how the process is working? How do they understand how their product is being used? And they don't have a reference for that. On the other side, if you look down 5 years, I think things are going to change substantially, because when you start looking at the analysis that goes on once you have a digital twin, the types of things that people are looking for when they're doing the digital twin, that's going to start being enhanced. So you're going to see behaviors coming back into your model from real world usage, and then being able to use things like AI to understand, okay, if I'm seeing this repetitive behavior, how do I need to change my product in order to respond to that behavior? So it's going to be augmenting the engineering or manufacturing data and allowing engineers and manufacturing engineers to make better choices. It's not going to do it for them, or at least I don't think in the next 5 years it's going to magically pop up a manufacturing line, or magically redesign your product for you, but it's going to provide insights.
Yeah, understand. Fantastic. That is great. Thanks ever so much, David. So questions out there to the audience. We've got some comments coming in. I see. That is great. I'm wondering if anybody's got any questions for you. If not, I might just drop you on the spot and pose one, just to deliberately curveball you. There you go. So on that basis, I will.
Go for it.
How quickly do you see an end-to-end digital twin on the line, in other words, the manufacturing process coming into play, actually happening?
Well, I think there are a few companies that are close to that. They've got a lot of the different components. We've had some conversations with a few companies who are really getting close, but the bringing it all together, you need to have the platform in place that allows you to bring all that together. And that's they're at the cusp of that right now. So we're seeing a few customers that are getting close, and they're able to get benefits. It's not just the end result. It's even going through the process of putting this in place. Customers get a lot of benefit because they're getting their digital mock-up and their digital thread fleshed out. They have more control over the process and their product design process and their manufacturing process. And then as they start looking at, okay, now how am I going to enhance that? They realize that whole part has to be stable and solid. So customers are able to really bring that in and use that as an accelerating factor to get all of their IoT data and their digital thread in place. Got it.
Mr. Thompson has a question for you. He says, how does the digital twin extend into smart car and fleet management?
Yeah. So smart car and fleet management. Fleet management is actually a great topic for a digital twin, because when you look at how you talk about the product, the design of the product, management of the manufacturing of the product, then you have, in terms of fleet, you have all of this data that you can gather and bring back into your model to diagnose, whether it be upfront maintenance, which is kind of a standard IoT problem, but how do you change the design of your car so you're not going to have that maintenance going forward? How do you alert your designers that there is a usage of for example, your car that was not expected? So, for example, if a company were to design a car that was for in-city use, and they say, well, they market it for in-city use, and then they realize that the cities that they're running in, the roads are not that good and are out of spec compared to what they were actually expecting. They're seeing a lot more vibrations. They're seeing a lot more, the consumers are maybe not as comfortable, or the problems, in terms of the car, in terms of vibration, maybe they're having vibration problems and it's shaking screws loose. they can get that information back in and make engineering changes. And whether it turns into a maintenance change for that car or just the next revision, the digital twin will allow them to model that up and then change their expectations, because now they know how their product is actually being used.
Yeah.
So fleet management is a great example of that.
Great, great. Thank you, Taban. Appreciate the question. I think we are there on questions, David. I think we're there. I think, to me, I mean, I first got introduced to digital twin 3 years ago. I was an Industry 4 passionate guy, and I was at a conference, and nobody wanted to go there. Nobody wanted to talk about it. And then we let forward kind of a couple of years, and everybody that we engage with wants to talk about it. And you can really start to feel now people want to actually do it beyond a twin of a CNC machine, and actually start about using something that will make a real bottom line impact on their business. So exciting times ahead, no doubt about it.
It is.
Thanks so much, David. I know it's an area
you're
passionate on, and it's something we're going to cover again in the future. So have a great day. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks. Thank you, everybody. And we are wrapped up for the show today. We are now saying goodbye to all. Next week, let's see if we can go live to the world fully. I hope a lot less clunky and a whole lot more smooth. Have a great rest of the day and a great rest of the week. And I'll see you next time next week. Thanks.